What's up, y'all? What is going on? So, um, the first topic that is on the top of my head has to do with how do you, and I've touched on this topic in the past before, but how do you manage or how do you stay concentrated when you either wake up late? Hold on, this chair rotates way too much. Um, when you either wake up late and you're like, oh no, what's going on? And then you feel like everything is decalibrated. So, a great way to deal with this is first and foremost to when you when you wake up at a certain time that doesn't necessarily always work for you. What you got to do is you got to first and foremost understand the bones. Comprehend the bones of your schedule. Understand that. The biggest reason for this is because when you going about your day and you putting things together and you figuring things out, understanding the bones and why they exist in the first place play a very big role, right? So spend the necessary time and energy to understand the bones. That is the basics, right? Like, when do you cook? When do you eat? When do you sleep? When do you wake up? When do you shower? Things like that. Understand the bones, set those bones for yourself. And as you begin to set those bones, you're going to feel more confident and you're going to feel uh, more grounded, regardless of what time you do wake up. You understand this is supposed to happen in this sequence, right? This was going to lead me to the next question, which was one of the main questions today, which was tips on developing self trust. So, developing self trust is a very sensitive process because you are slowly making, and the process of developing self trust is where you make small decisions and trust yourself in making those small decisions, right? And ultimately, when it comes to self trust, you usually want to say, or you want to get to a point where you know that everything is okay. Like, you're going to be okay, right? So, um, self trust and the process of developing self trust, I strongly, deeply believe is rooted in your creative practices. When you make these small decisions in your creative practice, they will translate into the outside world. They will. Um, Feeling more confident with expressing yourself through singing, that's gonna contribute to you being able to speak and trust your own voice a lot better when you speak. When you dance, that's going to help you develop more trust in yourself when it comes to moving your body in specific directions. I've seen, and I've been sitting, and there was this one time I was sitting in a place that drained me a lot. It was draining me. Thing was, I wasn't getting up or moving out of that place. I wasn't moving out of that place that was draining me. So the biggest reason I wasn't was because I hadn't danced in a while. I hadn't moved or expressed how I feel with my body in a while. With that, now all of a sudden I'm actually able to get out of these locations. My spirit, my being is able to move and go to a place that I actually want to, and I'm not going to lose energy. So little things like that really, really play a big role and contribute to your overall experience. Uh, I didn't touch too much on painting, but short, painting is, and this is a quote from an architect. I don't remember which one it is. Um, it says, if you can't, like, it's very difficult to lie when you see things drawn on paper. So I say this is painting is the art of, like, drawing, drafting ideas and creative concepts. That's huge. That plays a big role into the type of philosophies that you have towards your life. Why? Well, when you're making those decisions on a canvas, when you're making those decisions on a piece of paper, those decisions are saying, I would like this bold line and this thin line next to each other. I would like this gray wash or this blue or this yellow put together. Blue and yellow make you feel different ways, and you can put them next to each other, and you begin to use different parts of your psyche. You begin to use different parts of your emotions together, and that is what and you begin to create philosophies out of those decisions. So when you're painting and you're drawing and you're drafting and putting these shapes and things together on a piece of paper, you are developing and creating a higher, a more sophisticated level of philosophies for yourself. And that, of course, translate into the outside world, where if you're taking public transit or you're planning a specific event or a trip, you're going to be able to. You're going to have the necessary philosophies. You're going to have a different way of thinking. You're evolving the ways in which you think and perceive life through that specific practice of creativity. That's huge. That's completely different than like anything else, right? Which is like wild. And so when it comes to trusting yourself and developing that inner knowing, you have these tools. You have the tools of dancing, painting, singing at your disposal at any point in time. And they've been gifted to you since the beginning of time, right? And it's through that self-trust that others can also begin to trust you. Now, all of a sudden, you have more relationships and much more flourishing social construct and place for yourself, right? So those are big tips and big tools that I strongly believe are going to help you as a creative just understand and comprehend what you're really doing when it comes to this, being creative. Like, understand what you're really doing. And of course, like always, prioritize the process, prioritize, really look at these practices as a level of devotion to yourself. Because the more you practice these things, not only will you trust yourself more, but you'll become more of who you really are, of what you really are, what kind of decisions you make, right? What kind of moves you make, right? What kind of expression do you have? All those things contribute a lot into, what what you are, right? Your being. And so as you begin to evolve your being through these practices, remember that this is a level of devotion, right? You are devoting to yourself you are contributing more time, more energy to refining the kind of being that you are, right? And yeah, that's yeah. I'm going to finish off the episode here. So a link to the mentorship will be down below. That is my signature program where I help you develop your style. Second, the hoodie. It is called The Vote for a big reason. A link will be down below. It is a community-based hoodie that you can put on and do difficult things with and also feel part of a community. And last but not least, if you got anything from this episode, please leave a like. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.